The mirror in the guest room. The mirror was a gift from an antique collector who claimed it had belonged to a noblewoman who never aged. It was beautiful, framed in tarnished silver with carvings of weeping willows. Julian hung it in the guest room, the most isolated part of his new apartment. That night, Julian was brushed his teeth in the bathroom when he noticed something strange. The guest room door was open and he could see the mirror from the hallway. In the reflection, the guest room was empty, as it should be. But there was a candle burning on the nightstand in the reflection. Julian walked into the guest room. The nightstand was empty. No candle, no smoke. He looked back into the mirror. The candle was there, its flame flickering in a draft that Julian couldn't feel. He stepped closer to the glass. His reflection looked back, but it looked tired, thinner. As Julian watched, his reflection reached out and touched the surface of the glass from the inside. Julian felt a sudden, sharp chill in his chest. He realized with horror that his reflection wasn't wearing his watch, and it wasn't standing in the same position. The Julian in the mirror was grinning, a wide, toothy grin that stretched too far across his face. The reflection leaned forward until its nose pressed against the glass, leaving a fog of breath on the surface. Then the reflection spoke, but Julian didn't hear it with his ears. The words echoed inside his skull. "Thank you for the house, Julian. The glass is so cold, and I've been waiting for a warm body to trade with." Julian tried to run, but his feet felt like lead. He looked down and saw his legs becoming silver and flat, turning into a reflection. He looked up, and the man from the mirror was stepping out onto the carpet, stretching his new muscles and inhaling the dusty air of the room with a terrifying, satisfied sigh. The Tall Man of Blackwood Creek. In the town of Blackwood, there is a stretch of woods where the birds never sing. The locals call it the Gray Ribs, because the trees are so pale and skeletal. Sarah, a seasoned hiker who scoffed at local superstitions, decided to camp there on a dare. By 10 p.m., the fog had rolled in, thick and tasting of iron. Sarah sat by her fire, but the flames felt cold. Every time she looked away, she felt the sensation of 1,000 eyes pressing against her skin. She decided to crawl into her tent and sleep it off. An hour later, a sound woke her. Snap. A heavy branch breaking, then another. Snap. Something was walking around her tent, but the footsteps were wrong. They were too far apart, about 10 feet between each step, and they sounded heavy like wet logs hitting the ground. She grabbed her flashlight and clicked it on. The beam hit the thin nylon wall of the tent. A shadow was cast against the fabric. It was a leg. Long, impossibly thin and bending at an angle that no human joint could manage. The knee was level with the top of her tent. The footsteps stopped. A long, spindly finger, roughly the size of a kitchen knife, slowly began to trace the zipper of the tent from the outside. A soft, melodic whistling started, like a mother humming to a baby. But the pitch was so high, it made Sarah's ears bleed. "I can see your heartbeat through the silk," a voice whispered, vibrating through the very ground beneath her sleeping bag. "It looks like a trapped bird. Shall I let it out?" The old radio had been in the attic for decades, a heavy wooden relic of a forgotten era. Elias found it while clearing out his late grandfather's estate. It shouldn't have worked. The cord was frayed, and the internal vacuum tubes were coated in a thick layer of gray dust. Yet, When he turned the brass knob, the dial glowed with a sickly amber light. At first, there was only static, a dry, rushing sound like dead leaves skittering across pavement. But as Elias tuned the frequency, a rhythm emerged, a low, rhythmic thumping, like a heavy heartbeat underwater. Thump, 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 thump. Then a voice broke through. It wasn't speaking English or any language Elias recognized. It was a series of wet, clicking sounds, punctuated by gasping breaths. He leaned closer, his ear almost touching the cold mesh of the speaker. The air in the room grew heavy, smelling of ozone and stagnant water. "Is someone there?" Elias whispered, half joking to soothe his own rising dread. The static cut out instantly. The silence that followed was absolute. No wind outside, no creak of the floorboards. Then a voice spoke from the radio, clear as if the person were standing right behind him. It was his own voice. "I'm right behind you, Elias. Don't turn around. The radio is the only thing keeping the door closed." Elias froze. In the reflection of the attic window, he saw the amber glow of the radio dial, and behind his reflection, a shadow that didn't belong to him was slowly reaching for the dial to turn.